Okay, so today let us understand the concept of a revised return. What do you mean by a revised return? I'm not reading out anything from this slide, but please pay attention. And for those of you who want a copy of this presentation, please join us at CA Guru, and we'll be sending out all the email IDs who are registered at the beginning of every month, all the presentations that we have made till date. So what happens is that many a time the assessee may prepare and file his return of income, but it may not necessarily be correct from all perspectives for every person, because wherever a professional person is preparing a return of income, he would take due care of the fact that all the provisions of the law, whatever they are complied with. But an error or omission is something which can happen to the best of the people. So suppose if I was preparing my return, I made some error. Now I realized it after some point in time. Well, what do I do now? This particular section, section 139.5, provides an opportunity to the assessee to file a revised return of income. Now, it's not that all the return of income which you have filed can be revised. There is a restriction or a limitation on what return can be revised and what return cannot be revised. So let us now go through the provision. First, I'm just reading it out. If any person, this section is applicable to everyone who is falling within the definition of person as defined under the Income Tax Act, having furnished a return under section 139(1), or the return filed in pursuance of a notice issued under subsection 1 of section 142. Now, you would have seen in the previous videos which have been uploaded and the lectures which are there that the return of income filed under section 139(1) basically is the return which is filed within the due date of return of income. So to revise the return of income, which return can be revised? One, if you have filed the return under section 139(1), or if you were issued a notice by the tax officer under section 142 subsection 1 to file your return of income, and you filed a return according to the notice which was issued. It's only in both these cases that you can file a revised return of income. Now, we just saw in the previous lecture that a return can also be filed under section 139(4), which is your belated return of income, which is filed basically after the due date of filing of return of income. Now, in this section, there is no mention of return under section 139 subsection 4. Now, what would that imply? That basically implies that if you have filed your return of income under section 139 subsection 4, you cannot revise it. So who can revise a return of income? Only a person who has filed the return under section 139 subsection 1, or he has filed his return of income in pursuance of a notice which was issued under section 142 subsection 1. What does 142(1) cover? We see in the subsequent lectures. Discovers any omission or any wrong statement therein. Now, the return can be revised if you discover any omission, I mean you omitted to include certain part of your income, or any wrong statement therein, which means that if you have kind of made some kind of a wrong statement in your return of income, then you can revise it. Now, omission, just see the last bullet under notes 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth bullet. Omission must be due to bona fide mistake or inadvertent omission. Now, what does this imply? This basically implies that if you omitted to do something in your return of income, That's our something which happened because there was some genuine omission on your part. There was a bona fide mistake. There was no malafide intention, which means you did not do something deliberately wrong. So look at this first sub bullet under bullet 4. If a person files a return knowing it to be false, he cannot revise it as it is not an omission or a wrong statement. So if you yourself made the mistake, if you yourself did something knowing it, then you cannot file your return as a revised return because it is not an omission. It's a case of concealment, or rather you did it something with your malafide intentions. Revising return after the omission is discovered by the tax office after inquiry is not permissible. So if the tax office, you filed your return of income, the tax office found that there was some mistake or some kind of a error that you had done. If you want to revise your return of income after the tax office has found it, sorry, you can't do it. Okay, so I go back here to the main section, which is on the top side. On the third bullet, he may furnish a revised return. So what it says is he may. It's not mandatory for you to file a revised return. If suppose you thought the change was kind of minimal, it doesn't really affect, you may choose not to revise the return of income and deal with it as the assessment comes in. And what is the time limit within which the revised return has to be filed? What does it say? It says before the expiry of 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year or before the completion of assessment, whichever is earlier. Now this analogy is something similar to the belated return. I had explained this concept there, so I'm not getting into the numbers again. But basically, suppose my financial year is 10-11. So my financial year ends on March 31, 2011. The assessment year will be March 31, 2012. So when can I file my return of income, revised return? It will be 1 year from the end of the relevant assessment year, which will be March 31, 2013, unless my assessment is completed before that time. So just to recapitulate, you can revise a return only if you filed it under section 139 subsection 1 or in pursuance of a notice issued by the tax officer under section 142 subsection 1. You cannot revise a belated return, and this is also something which has been held in the decision of Kumar Jagdish Chandra Sinha versus CIT by Supreme Court. You can revise a return only in respect of a bona fide omission or any wrong statement. If you do it deliberately, you can't revise it. You have an option to file your revised return. It's not mandatory. And there's a particular time limit within which you have to file this return. Moving on to the notes. The first one we've already covered. Belated return cannot be revised. Second, revised return substitutes original return from the date of original return, which is deemed to have been withdrawn. So what happens? Suppose I file an original return of income on 30th September 2011 and I file a revised return on say 15th October 2011. In such a case, once I file a revised return, the law deems that the original return which was filed has been withdrawn, and the date of filing of the revised return is itself taken as the date of the first return, which is 30th September. The third point is return filed under section 139(3) is deemed to be return filed under section 139(1) and hence can be revised under section 139(5). This point I'll touch upon when I discuss 139(3) in more details with you. So these were the provisions relating to a revised return of income. We hope you are enjoying these lectures. You can join us on Facebook or CA Guru to get regular updates on various lectures as we keep on uploading them from time to time, and also get the soft copy of these presentations. We would encourage all of you to kind of refer these lectures to your friends so that everyone can benefit from them. Thank you.